From the mayor's State of the City address tomorrow to the Gaillard Center to Colonial Lake to the latest on Uber, I speak exclusively with Councilman William Dudley Gregorie and Mike Seekings for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. Well, let's set the scene.
All right.
We are sitting here in the Charleston City Council chambers, and I mention that because it's really the quiet storm before the political storm, if you will. As you know, tomorrow the Mayor Riley will actually deliver his State of the City address here in Council chambers, and it's also his last. Tell me, where are you emotionally?
Emotionally, I think that the mayor's last State of the City's address will be pivotal, and I'm extremely interested to hear what he has to say. I can predict some of what he's going to say regarding the accomplishments, regarding projects that will still have to be completed once his term is over.
Right.
Projects such as the International African American Museum, making sure that the park system on Daniel Island is complete, the completion of the road network regionally. So I do think that there are a number of things that he will talk about in terms of completion, but I'm really going to be listening to hear what he has to say about those projects that will remain after he's gone, and assuring that we have the kind of resources to complete them.
Councilman Seekings?
Well, I look at it a little bit differently. I mean, I think after 40 years, when he takes the podium tomorrow, he's going to deliver a State of the City address in a city that's in as good a place as it's ever been. And so I think really it's setting the stage and the platform for the next 5, 10, 15 years to say, here's where we are, here's what we've accomplished, and we are set as a city to really leap forward in the next 10 or 15 years through the hard work of the mayor and other people here in the city. And so I'm not sure it's really something that I look at emotionally, but more in terms of being part of a city, both as a citizen and a city councilman, to say, hey, thank you for where we are, and here's where we're going. And I think you're going to hear a lot about that tomorrow, what a good place we are in Charleston today.
And what do you want to hear from that particular address?
Well, I think one of the things that the Councilman Gregorie and anybody shows, we know what's going on in the city, and we're kept well apprised of it. So nothing, I don't think, that we hear tomorrow will be a surprise. It will simply be sort of a recap of what we've been working on as a city and what the mayor's been doing for the last 12 months. So what we're going to hear a lot about is how we've come along economically, socially, how the city is a safer place than it's been in a long time, how the city is a more vibrant place than it's been in a long time, and how the city has a lot going on, and to really draw as many people in to the conversation and to the process as is possible.
And describe to me the following in one word: the taxi stand amendment ordinance.
Good idea.
Possible salary raises. Oh, wait.
Good idea. No question.
Okay. You want to expand on that?
On taxi stands? Oh, I think, anything you can do to give the public better, more efficient, and safer access to public transportation is a good idea. On Upper King Street, where we're putting these taxi stands, it's really difficult to identify where you might be able to safely hail a cab. I mean, if you go up there late at night, there's cars, there's pedestrians. So going to a place that's safe, where the police know that people are going to be congregating, provide that. So yeah, that's something we worked on at probably a little late, but we're on it.
Possible salary raises for the next mayor and city council.
Against it.
You, Gregorie?
For me, I'm not against it, because what it would provide for me is additional funding for constituent services.
Okay.
The current salary that I get from city council, I devote totally to constituent services for District 6.
Right.
So any addition to that salary would just provide more resources for me to serve the constituents of my district, the way I look at it.
I mean, I view the city council position in particular, but also the mayor's job as true public service.
Yeah.
Something that we do outside of our day in and day out life and our jobs. It should not be a job. It should be something you do with passion and that you believe in. And so I frankly would like to see us draw no salary. I contribute all mine back to charities.
Right.
I'd like to see the mayor's salary remain where it is or go down. I don't think, again, it should be something you do because you need a job. It's something you do because you have a little passion and talent for it, and you want to do it the right way. And any time you interject any level of monies into politics, I'm always suspicious of it. So I will not be a supporter of any pay raises for any public official in the city of Charleston.
And, you know, contrary to that, I think that you can be salaried and have just as much passion for serving the public. The council members are made up of totally different socioeconomic backgrounds. And I think that what you will see is those perhaps at the top of the economic background probably in opposition to a salary raise.
Okay.
However, I do think that there are people on our council who could benefit from a salary raise. And I do think that I agree that if you're a public servant, you're a public servant. And the cost should not really be a part of that service. But in some circumstances, I do think that a raise would be beneficial to some of our council members, given the economic situations.
One word to describe Colonial Lake.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be fantastic. And in a city that has some great parks, this will really be the cornerstone of a park system once it's completed for full access to the entire community, not just those who live downtown, but all over, with a waterborne park in the middle of an urban area that's really one of a kind in the country. So a project that is well conceived, was funded properly, that is a true public-private partnership with the Parks Conservancy kicking in $1 million, and going to go beyond that and do maintenance on the project. So I think you will see, as it not comes out of the ground, but comes around the ground, a project that we in the public will be proud to have, and all citizens will really be excited to use.
And I mean, as a native Charlestonian, Colonial Lake is something that we've appreciated most of our lives. And I do think that the improvement to Colonial Lake will be truly beneficial to the city, and more importantly to the citizens, to be able to appreciate such a grand space right in the middle of the heart of the city.
As a runner, I don't think they're making the course around it any shorter. I was hoping maybe they'd shorten it up a little bit, so when I do 5 laps, it'll still sound impressive. It won't be quite as far, but it's going to be fantastic.
That is awesome. Yeah. And you know, many people take modes of transportation to Colonial Lake, and one of them is very controversial right now. As you know, Uber. It's very notable as well as controversial. The state government is really taking a lot of action on that, as well as City of Charleston. Tell me, as we sit here right now, what does Uber mean to you?
Well, Uber means customer service, and not just Uber, but a new way of providing access to public transportation to the public in a way that, again, that is safe, convenient, reliable. Is, to me, something that no government, whether it be the City of Charleston, the county, or the state, should get in the way of. As you know, we had a big hearing about Uber. I sit on the Traffic and Transportation Committee, and I'm convinced more than ever that they have come up with a new way to get people access to public transportation. The safety part of it is something I'm very interested in. It's a no-cash transaction. It's safer for the driver. It's safer for the passenger. Everybody knows who everybody is. You can monitor real time where people are. So whether it's Uber or whatever you want to call it, that mode of hailing public transportation, if it's just as a private carriage or expanding into group carriage, I think is the wave of the future, and you're going to see it here. It's coming. We just need to make sure it's on a level playing field, that everyone knows what to expect from the driving perspective and from the passenger perspective, and let the market play out from there.
And I think even more importantly, the creation of jobs.
Okay.
Uber will provide the opportunity for many people who would not necessarily be employed to be employed. And I think that Uber is coming. I agree with my councilman that it's much safer, great security, cashless transactions, better protection for the drivers. So I think that it's something that's coming, but it has to be done on a level playing field. And I do think that what you will see this council do is to make sure that it is in fact a level playing field.
Well, the drivers need to be licensed. They need to be insured. We need to have some basic level of background check. And once we've done that, and everyone have an understanding of what the rate structure is, whatever it is. I mean, the market will set the rate structure, but when you get into that Uber cab or the yellow taxi or whatever public transportation you take, you know what you're getting yourself into when you get in. And that's, I think that's our job, and then get out of the way.
Yes. You know, something else that is popular now is the bike corrals in downtown Charleston. I believe the city of Charleston has confiscated at least 40 bicycles since its ignition, mainly because they've been parking bicycles on parking meters and, you know, trees and light posts. And I know the city, of course, has also initiated these bike corrals in designated areas. Tell me why bike corrals?
Well, I mean, that actually is a no-brainer. I mean, because the public has asked for them, because people are transporting themselves on bicycles. And if you see, the minute we open bike corral on King Street, 5 minutes later it's full. So if you talk about supply and demand, we're undersupplied and over-demanded, and we need to put more bike corrals out there. They're great for the city. It has really brought a new way of people using the King Street corridor for other than transportation, for commerce. Right. And you did mention that this confiscation issue. I'd like to comment on that.
Sure, please.
Not all of the bikes that have been removed were quote unquote confiscated because they're illegally parked. You have abandoned bikes, if you see around town all the time, bikes with no wheels, right, with no seats, that are all dented up. So you know, we want to give people, no matter how you're transporting yourself, the opportunity to succeed and be in a place close by that's safe, again, and convenient, and the bike corrals clearly do that. And if we can then get the bikes off the sidewalk so that people who are walking have free and safe passage, it's worked. And the fact that we're taking away a couple of parking spaces, well, so be it. For every parking space we take away, we can put 20 or 30 bikes. It's fabulous. And I predict, and I'm certainly in favor of expanding that program to meet the demand, and until we open a bike rack that isn't full within 24 hours, we haven't done enough. And I will tell you that the businesses are asking for them. So it's a success story that we need to keep an eye on and make sure we do it right.
And if I can add, it also gives us a bit more pedestrian traffic in our commercial district. In addition, it also reduces the number of cars. Yeah. So I do think that the more corrals that we put up, it will have a correlation between the number of cars that we will see along our streets. It makes our city a bit more greener, and I think that's something that we're really working toward. So I agree with my councilman again. The more bike corrals, the better. It will reduce traffic. It will increase pedestrian traffic along our commercial corridor, and it will have, I think, a sizable economic impact.
Absolutely. I mean, the more people you see on the sidewalk walking, the more opportunity they have to go in a store. So much like a full bike rack's a happy bike rack, a full sidewalk's a happy sidewalk. An empty sidewalk is really a place that you don't want to see. You want to see activity. So we're moving towards all of that, and the whole idea of mixed-use transportation and getting people out of their cars is always a good idea in an urban environment.
One location that a lot of people will be biking to is the new Gaillard Center. Obviously, that has had a lot of setbacks recently. Walk back down memory lane with me and talk to me about the time when Mayor Riley gave City Council a tour of Gaillard Center. I'm wondering, what did you tell yourself?
Well, I've taken the tour twice.
Okay.
And I mean, just a bit of history though. The Gaillard Auditorium. Right. We have to remember that there were people living on that site. Literally thousands of homes were demolished in order for us to develop it. But putting that aside, my viewing of the Gaillard definitely clearly shows that we are going to try to do a world-class event space. In addition to that, it gives us the opportunity to consolidate many of our services, making our services one-stop for our citizens. It will save the city dollars in terms of the rents that we're paying on many of the buildings that we currently occupy. So I think by consolidating, it definitely gives us a cost benefit, substantial cost benefit by doing that. Not just in terms of the saving of rents and having those rents go into something that we own, just the auditorium, not just the state-of-the-art venue, but the fact that we will be able to better serve our citizens by consolidating most of our services in one place, I think would be greatly beneficial to the public.
Well, you may remember at the time that the Gaillard project, as it's coming out of the ground now, was proposed, we were in a pretty tough economic time. And people literally looked up at us and said, "Are you people crazy? You're going to spend $142 million on a public arts center and office space when we are really struggling here." And our answer was, this is actually the absolute right time to do it. We're funding it in a responsible way. We're using very little new public funding. We have private funding for it. And at a time when we can actually cobble those dollars together, when labor was affordable, as opposed to now where it's much more affordable. So we are delivering a world-class performing arts facility surrounded by city office space at a cost to the citizenry, which is, you'll never get that deal again.
Sure.
And so walking into it for the first time just a few months ago and seeing, I said, we're not crazy. We've done the right thing. We're going to deliver a world-class facility to the citizens of Charleston that will be here for hundreds of years. And we have definitely done the right thing. The fact it's a little behind schedule, this is construction, it's complicated, it happens, but it's coming in on budget. It's going to be a little behind schedule, but it is going to be world-class. And so I think that we take great pride having supported that from the get-go in the light of some questions, if not criticism. But I think in the end, everyone in the community is going to realize that what we did was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we took.
Finish these sentences for me. West Ashley will become.
Well, better.
West Ashley will become a re-energized section of our city. West Ashley was probably one of the first sections that annexed into the city. And West Ashley at one time was very, very vibrant. And I think right now it does need an overhaul. It needs an overhaul in terms of trying to develop a downtown west of the Ashley to replace the old Citadel Mall complex. So I think that we need to really spend a lot of attention on the redevelopment strategy and plan for West Ashley to make sure that the citizens over there have the same kinds of facilities, services that we have in other parts of the city. And we can take it even a little further because as West Ashley continues to expand, the city will definitely need additional services such as public safety services, more fire stations, more substations for our police officers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I think that it's good timing for us to really spend the kind of resources necessary to determine what the new West Ashley will look like. And I think that the many public forums that are going on now gives us some indication of what the people want. The question to me is, how do we get this financing package together for a multi-million-dollar renaissance in West Ashley?
That was a much longer answer to the sentence. I went one word. But
That works too.
But I think Dudley brings up a point like anything. To me, West Ashley or any part of the city, what we need to do is look at infrastructure, transportation, and that's our job. The economic development piece will come on the private sector when we give them reason to want to be there. There's lots of reasons to want to be in West Ashley. My mom lives in West Ashley. We now need to give businesses not only reason but incentive to be there, and that's to give them infrastructure. So that's the future.
And we've got to, just to add, because the councilman's absolutely correct. We cannot do the economic development without having the infrastructure in place to support it. And that's one of the issues that I'm a bit uncomfortable with, not just West Ashley, but in general, as our city develops economically, making sure that we have the infrastructure in place to support it. If not, the brand is going to definitely be damaged.
Charleston in 5 to 10 years will be.
I'll let Dudley go first.
I think in a city council is to make sure that we protect the brand, that we do not put the cart before the horse. Make sure the infrastructure is in place as we develop. We've got 4 or 5 hotels coming in. That's literally thousands of people that will be visiting our city and having to use our infrastructure. If that infrastructure is not there, it's all for naught.
Well, I mean, I think in 5 to 10 years, and I really sort of take the 10-year view, Charleston's going to be a place where you're going to want to live, work, play, and educate your children, because we're going to focus on the very thing that we need to, and that is infrastructure and transportation. This city, in order to grow in the manner in which it needs to and will, we have to have a vision for how people are going to get from A to B. And the truth is, people from A to B, it's going to be a shorter trip, but we need to make it convenient for them, we need to make it safe for them, we need to make it affordable for them, so we convince them that cars aren't the way to go, but other ways are, including walking, bicycles, public transportation. And we see that already. I mean, with the influx of the new businesses that are coming to Charleston that are populated by young entrepreneurs, many of them don't want to own a car. They don't want to own a house. They want to live in an apartment. They want to be able to get around. So in 5 to 10 years, you're going to see Charleston doing that because the market demands it. We as a city and a city council and the leadership of the city have to keep up with the demands of our citizenry. And we'll do that. There's no question in my mind. And we're really in that stage right now of transitioning to looking at that. And I'm excited to be part of that for the next however long that is.
And the people are they're going to be coming.
Absolutely. They're coming now. They are coming.
And to me, again, we need to make sure that we have a clear understanding of expected to reside. We know how many people are coming to our city daily.
Right.
But do we have the affordability? Okay. Do we have the housing available for people? So to me, in the next 5 to 10 years, we've got to also grapple with the affordability issue. And we need to make sure that our city continues to be diverse, economically, socially, and otherwise. Because if we don't, again, we're going to begin to lose the flavor of the city. Because the inhabitants of the city, the people who help build this city, the people who have the language of the city, those people are slowly being pushed out because of economics. And somehow, I think as a city, we have to come up with an affordability strategy that includes housing, that also includes a living wage. I mean, our city, I think, in council realizes that already, which is one of the reasons why we've made sure that our entry-level jobs are at $10.16 an hour. Though that's not a lot of money, we need to try to make sure that our city is not the only one that's trying to fight for living wages for the citizens so that they can afford to stay within the city that they helped build and the city that they've lived in all their lives. So to me, we've got to make sure that we protect that flavor, and we can only protect that flavor through affordability.
And you know, as we talk about the future, you just announced that you're going to run for mayor of Charleston for the 3rd term. I'm wondering, what will you do differently to make certain that this 3rd term will be your term and will be your success?
Well, I can't really talk about the strategy.
Of course not.
But
Get more votes than the other people. Really pretty good at politics.
Right.
But trust me, I think that this election is going to be a little different because I think it's about the heart and soul of the city. And we can't talk about the heart and soul of the city without talking about education reform. I want to put education on the front burner. The last couple of elections I've been involved in, it's not been clearly understanding that we don't have anything to do with the managing of our school system. But however, I think that many of the people that go to those schools are our citizens. So regardless of whether or not the county is responsible for it, I think the city has an obligation to make sure that all of our schools are Class A schools so that we can, in fact, increase choice. I am going to lay out an education reform plan that hopefully will do that and try to make education one of the planks or one of the issues Silicon Harbor.
Right.
We've got to make sure that our children are trained in such a way that they can participate in competing for those jobs and not just competing for service industry jobs.
And speaking of competing, you got a lot of people who are competing against you. So how nervous are you?
Not at all.
Okay.
Because if they're competing against me, that means I must be leading or something. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people.
I'm learning something here.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that the competition
Yes.
will be healthy.
Oh, yes.
I think for the first time, the dialogue will be different
Yes.
because you will not have a 40-year institution that you're running against. So I welcome the dialogue. The more, the merrier, because I find that in the past 2 races, while I was not successful, many of the issues that I brought forward have been implemented in the city.
And Councilman Seekins, is summer your good luck charm?
We're going to see. I think the next 4 or 5 months in the city are going to shape the future. People getting out there, and this next 4 or 5 months is going to be about the issues going forward, and the people who can carry the issues and bring them to the citizens. And they're the ones who are going to be the next group of leaders in the city. No matter where I fit into that, as a city councilman or not, I'm going to be part of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next few months.
That is awesome. Well, Councilman Mike Seekins and Councilman William Dudley Gregorie, it's also good seeing you again.
Well, good to see you
Always
too.
good seeing you
Yeah,
too.
always
Good seeing you guys.
Thank you very much.